6 spine-chilling online dating horrors. Terrifying catfish exposed with sinister secrets revealed. Ava sat in her dimly lit living room, scrolling through her dating app, heart racing with anticipation. It felt like a scene out of a horror movie. Every ping of a new message echoed ominously through the silence. But when she connected with David, his sweet words washed over her like a warm blanket, momentarily staving off the lurking fears of her chaotic life. Yet, the bloom of romance was abruptly interrupted by an unknown number. Muffled whispers of danger filled her ears with each alert. The text messages started innocently enough. How did Jake like his new toy today? She shivered at the mention of her son, clutching her phone as panic tightened around her chest. She hadn't told anyone about that toy. Not a soul. The stakes had risen, and just like that, Maplewood shifted from a haven to a hunting ground. Pieces of her life were no longer hers alone. Was David a loving pretend prince, or just another monster lurking in the shadows? The unsettling messages grew darker, revealing intimate details of her routine, taunting her with phrases that echoed sinister certainty. "I see everything," the last one read, sending icy fingers crawling up her spine. Ava was alone in a darkened house, her pulse pounding like a war drum. The man she craved for comfort, a shield against her frantic solo parenting, was possibly linked to a menace threatening the very existence of her small family. A knock on the door sent her adrenaline skyrocketing. Was it a delivery? A friendly neighbor? Or had the unknown figure drawn even closer? Heart racing, she peered through the peephole, her breath hitching. All that met her was darkness, sprinkled with the silhouettes of swaying trees outside, branches clawing at her home. How could she be so foolish as to trust? She had to tell Carol, her wine-sipping confidant next door, her mind racing through the worst-case scenarios. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Days of growing paranoia culminated in chilling exchanges with Carol, whose laughter suddenly felt forced and hollow. "Oh, come on, Ava, you're letting your imagination run wild," she said with a forced smile, dismissing Ava's terror like a pesky fly. The unsettling truth brewed beneath Carol's veneer of friendship. Whispers replaced wild laughter, and Ava felt eyes on her everywhere. Each friendly wave now sent currents of dread through her, suspicion twisting around her heart. Then one night, the intensity peaked. A loud crash erupted from her backyard. Was David watching her from the shadows? Frantically dialing the police felt like telling monsters she was afraid. They wouldn't come. They were likely too busy with crime reports in the nearby city. As she caught a glimpse of a shadow moving along her porch, Ava's breath stilled. In that heart-stopping moment, she couldn't shake the chilling realization. David might have sent that message, but was it too late to confront him? The walls were closing in, and her quiet life had spiraled into something terrifying. Somewhere in the depths of the darkness came another text: "Remember, they can't hide from me." The night grew heavier with secrets, and everything she thought she knew began to unravel. As she read the message, terror gripped her. The nightmare was just starting. The following day felt heavier than a lead blanket. Sunlight barely penetrated the gloom swirling around Ava. The morning's chirpy bird songs pierced through her tension like a knife, clawing at the edges of her sanity. She forced herself to muster the energy to get Jake ready for school, but dread lay thick on her chest. Each task was drenched in anxiety, every mundane chore piled on top of her growing sense of urgency. "Mommy, look!" Jake called from the kitchen, his voice vibrant and innocent. His chubby fingers were proudly displaying a drawing of a superhero, cape fluttering with imaginary wind. But instead of joy, it struck her like ice. It was just a picture, but could it somehow reveal her son's fate? She was lost, speechless. As Jake bounded away to get his backpack, Ava's phone buzzed again. The same unknown number flashed on the screen, and her heart sank. "Are you proud of what you created?" I can see him, you know, the words twisted like vines tightening around her throat. She wanted to scream, to shatter the calm of her home, but terror rendered her mute. Knowing she had no one to share this with pressed heavily upon her. Carol was dismissive. David remained elusive behind a screen. Ava stood at the precipice of isolation and despair, pondering if there was solace in silence, or a grim ending. She chased after Jake, who was now sitting at the kitchen table, unknowingly drawing her into a world of horror. Each stroke of his crayon sent waves of shame crashing through Ava. Sweetie, do you want to help me with breakfast?" she asked, fighting to keep her tone light. He nodded, eyes sparkling with glee, blissfully unaware of the gnawing terror surrounding them. She poured the cereal while her mind remained entangled in fear. She envisioned shadows creeping closer, wondering how long until reality would shatter. The doorbell rang, echoing through the house like a thunderclap. Ava nearly dropped the milk. "Stay here!" she hissed at Jake, her reflexes kicking in as she moved towards the door. Peering through the peephole, her breath hitched. There stood Carol with a feigned air of cheerfulness, and an insistent knock rang through the anxiety thickening the air. "Ava, open up! We need to talk." What could Carol possibly want? Was her neighbor finally taking her seriously? Heart pounding, Ava pressed her ear against the door, trying to grasp the intricacies of the situation. "Ava," Carol insisted, this time with an urgent whisper, "I know you're in there. Please, just let me in." The desperation in her voice sent ripple after ripple of alarm through Ava. She hesitated, torn between opening that door or closing it tight, keeping the chaos on the other side at bay. As she stood frozen, the phone vibrated again, this time with a call from David. Unable to resist, she opened the message. "You forgot to tell her, didn't you?" Ava was no longer standing at the door, she was thrust into a nightmare. The shadows were deepening. She couldn't keep ignoring the truth. Something was very, very wrong. As she reached for the doorknob, the world seemed to slow down. Would she find safety behind the door, or had she invited danger into her life by simply lifting the latch? With a trembling hand, she stepped back, unsure of what to do next. The weight of the moment felt unbearable. Could anyone help her? Then came a soft scrape against the window, the kind that sends shivers down your spine, and her heart dropped. She wasn't alone anymore. "Mommy!" Jake called, breaking through her panic. His voice was laced with confusion, but emerging beneath it was an edge of fear. As she spun around, she could see Jake's small figure retreat into the shadows. And just like that, the world darkened even more. Was he already too far gone? What awaited Ava? Desperation clawed inside her, as she prepared to confront the rising tide of dread looming over them. The door creaked open, but who would step inside? Ava gripped the doorknob tighter, heart racing like a wild animal. The door creaked open inch by inch, a heavy, suffocating silence greeting her like a stale breath. Carol's face peered through the gap. There was an urgency in her eyes, a wild unease that made Ava's skin crawl. "Ava! Let me in now! We don't have time!" The force behind Carol's words pushed Ava to swing the door wide. "What's wrong?" she whispered, feeling the sudden encroachment of shadows. "Too much. It's happening too fast." Carol stepped inside, her movements urgent and slinking. She scanned the room as if searching for something lurking just out of view. "Jake, where is he?" "Jake!" Ava called, her voice trembling. Panic surged through her. "Stay where you are." She darted into the kitchen, but he was gone. "Where did he go?" Ava said, her throat tightening. "Calm down, we need to focus," Carol urged, stepping closer, her expression shifting from panic to something deeper, a flicker of fear. "He has drawn you into this. It's not just you anymore." "What are you talking about?" Carol lowered her voice, burdened by the weight of truth. "The messages. They know. They see more than we do, and they're coming for him." A chill coiled around Ava's spine. "What do you mean, coming for him? Why?" "Because of you something's been unleashed," Carol said, glancing nervously at the window. "You need to understand, it all connects." "Connects?" Connects how? Those drawings, Ava. He has been drawing things that shouldn't be. Ava's stomach twisted. She thought back to Jake's drawings, the superhero, all bright colors and imaginary powers. But there were shadows too, dark scribbles lurking at the edges. Show me, she demanded, her resolve anchoring her through the storm. Carol hesitated, then pulled out a crumpled phone from her pocket, opening an app that flickered with strange images. Ava's breath caught. The drawings looked eerily like Jake's. Furious lines danced across a canvas, capturing moments of darkness and despair. You see? They're not just simple kids' doodles anymore. But what she feared most was the image of Jake himself, a small silhouette held captive within drawn bars. This was from last night, Carol whispered, pressing the screen closer. Ava's heart thundered. You need to stop. You're scaring me. I'm trying to save him. Suddenly, the air thickened, a low rumble echoing outside. A howling wind slammed against the windows. Ava and Carol exchanged terrified glances. Then it hit her. We need to find Jake. Without waiting for Carol's response, Ava rushed towards the living room. The eerie moans grew louder, shivers racing down her spine. Jake. Her voice cut through the roar. Is he hiding? Had he retreated into those shadows? The darkened corners of the house seemed to pulse, alive with an unspoken threat. Just as she feared the worst, she heard a soft thump. The sound came from the basement. Something's down there! Carol yelled, eyes wide as she grabbed Ava's arm. We have to go! But as they approached the basement door, a faint scratch began, clawing from the other side. Jake! Ava screamed. The scratching stopped, replaced by something worse, chilling silence, and then Jake's voice, soft and fragile, echoing eerily. Mommy, help me, with blood pounding in her ears. Ava reached for the doorknob, but Carol grabbed her hand, desperation shining in her eyes. No! We don't know what's waiting for us. It doesn't matter. He needs us. With that, the door flung open, revealing darkness deeper than she could bear. There, in the shadows, Jake stood. But beside him was a figure cloaked in black, with an unsettling presence that made the air still. Do not take another step, the silhouette hissed. Ava froze, dread weaving itself tightly around her heart. A choice lay before her, facing the unknown for her son or retreating into the waiting chaos of shadows she had tried to escape. With her heart racing, she stepped closer, all too aware that a decision, once made, could shift the balance between light and darkness forever. What awaited them in that pitch-black abyss? Ava took a shaky breath, her body teetering on the edge of flight and fight. The figure in black stood motionless, but the air around it crackled with a suffocating weight. Mommy! Jake called again, his voice tremulous, laced with confusion and fear. The shadows seemed to pull him deeper into their grasp, and Ava felt the horror latch onto her throat like icy fingers. Step away from him! Ava shouted, her voice breaking, desperate to sound brave. She took a step forward, but Carol yanked her back. Don't, Ava! It will want you to come closer. Jake! I'm coming! Ava's heart pounded louder than words, drowning out Carol's warning. Know this. The figure's voice was a haunting whisper, each syllable heavy with malice. He's not truly yours anymore. A chill swept through the room, vibrating through the very floor beneath their feet. Something dark stirred inside her, pulling at Dawn's fragile light. It wasn't just about Jake anymore. She was part of the sinister web, and the darkness had claimed its own. No! Carol gasped, backing away slowly, her eyes wide, glistening with unshed tears. It's too late, Ava. If you get closer, it will take you as well, forever trapped. Ava felt tears prick her own eyes, the sharp sting of despair mingling with rage. How could this entity claim her son? You can't have him. She surged forward, adrenaline pumping through her veins. But as she neared, the figure shifted, its form swirling like smoke in a gust of wind. He has drawn us here. The visions, the drawings, it crooned with a voice that danced with the echoes of shadows. He knows more than you think. He has awakened what should sleep. What are you talking about? Ava shouted, panic slipping into defiance. Come see the truth, Mother, the entity beckoned, raising a shadowy arm. Ava fought the pull. You're lying. Jake flinched at the figure's words. Mommy, don't listen. He took a trembling step back, but the darkness seemed to tighten its hold, threatening to swallow him whole. Help me! His cry shattered the air, raw and desperate. Ava's heart fractured. Hold on, Jake. I'm right here. But the figure loomed closer, blocking her view. It felt as if the room closed in, suffocating her. You must choose the light or embrace the dark. Choose, or all is lost. A stranglehold of dread closed in around her. Time is running out, the figure whispered, its voice unfurling like thick smoke. The cycle must continue. With her heart racing and uncertainty clawing at her, Ava looked to Carol, seeking strength. Help me! We can't leave him! Whatever you do, don't let it in! Carol's voice trembled, eyes darting between the shadows and Ava's determination. Remember the drawings. You need to break the connection. In that instant, realization hit her like a jolt. Jake's art, the very essence of his imagination, had summoned the dark entity. Jake. Focus on the light. Draw what makes you happy. I can't, he cried, turning his pleading eyes toward the figure, who only cackled softly. The figure grew more corporeal, shifting shapes, blurring the lines between nightmare and reality. The basement held its breath, an unseen force trying to break her will. With trembling hands, she reached into her pocket, pulling out Jake's last drawing. Remember this? Look at it, Jake. The figure recoiled at the sight of the bright colors, its face twisting in repulsion. But it wouldn't let go. Ava felt venom-tipped shadows creeping closer, and a sickening stillness settled. Through gritted teeth, Ava shouted, Jake! Close your eyes and summon your light. As Jake squeezed his eyes shut, he whispered the colors to himself. Softly at first, but it grew, a tapestry of hope igniting between them. The shadows flickered, hissing, struggling against the light, wrestling its way into the dark. Ava held her breath, praying it would work. Let us go home, she urged, inserting every ounce of love into her voice. But in that moment, the chilling silence was pierced by a laugh, sharp and taunting. You think you can escape? It echoed through the basement, the shadows twisting and turning, as if alive, ready to consume them both. With every ounce of courage swelling inside her, Ava prepared to take one final leap into the dark unknown, knowing they had to face whatever nightmares awaited them. Close your eyes, hold tight, she whispered, we can do this together. Just as hope ignited, the room erupted into chaos. Heavy darkness swirled, the figure lunging at them, desperate to pull them down into its eternal grasp. What terrified force would they truly face? Did the light have the power to fight back, or was it merely leading them to deeper despair? Ava felt the shadows tighten around her like bands of steel. The air pulsed with dread, heavy and ripe with terror. The figure lunged forward, its twisted face distorting into a grotesque mask of malice. In one last desperate attempt, she shouted, Jake, hold on to me. The basement trembled as the entity's sinister laughter resonated, shaking the very walls. Its form morphed, growing larger, more monstrous. Ava dug her heels into the floor, unwilling to be dragged into the abyss. Jake. Picture the colors. Imagine your light. Jake's whimpers clawed at her heart. I'm scared, Mommy. Fight it. You're stronger than this. As the figure swung its shadows, they lashed out, jagged edges slicing through the air. Bright light flickered from the crayon remnants left on the ground, glowing with the last spark of innocence. Ava reached down, clutching it in her palm. She had to push through. And then Jake screamed. The sound cut through Ava like a knife, saturating the air with pure horror. The darkness responded, swelling with ominous delight. You cannot shield him forever, it hissed, trailing around Ava like smoke. Each word reeked of venom, an invitation wrapped in cruel persuasion. Ava's pulse thundered in her ears. Jake, remember your drawing of the sun. Think about it. Bring it to life. For a heartbeat, silence enveloped the basement. She could feel Jake's presence, trembling but filled with determination. Then, a flicker broke through the shadows, bright, vivid, and overwhelmingly warm. "Mommy, I can see it," Jake breathed, barely nodding. I see the light." The figure screeched, a sound that split the night, grabbing its head as if it was physically wounded. Ava saw the shadows recoiling, unsure how to deal with the cascade of brightness spilling forth from her son's imagination. "Do it, Jake. Draw with your heart," Ava urged, her voice straining but unwavering. His small hands moved almost of their own accord, gesturing as if sketching in midair. The image of the sun expanded, enormous and golden, illuminating the dark with warmth. Yet as the light grew, so did the figure's fury. "You cannot escape what you are. You are bound to the darkness. Embrace it." The shadows writhed violently, lashing out like serpents. They crashed against the growing light, causing a cacophony of battle between day and night. Ava felt an icy grip constricting her throat, the words of the figure echoing her worst fears. "You can't lose him!" she screamed as tendrils of shadow wrapped around her wrists, pulling her back. "Mommy!" Jake cried, fear breaking through the bravery his imagination had offered him. "Remember sunny days. Happiness. You can defeat this monster." The figure screeched, its form flickering, trying to maintain a grip on their souls. Ava felt herself being pulled in two directions, one toward the light radiating from Jake's creation, the other deeper into the dark embrace of despair. She could see it vividly, a world painted with hope, laughter, and warmth. But the shadows threatened to drown them both. "Don't listen to it, Jake. Stay with me." The figure grew impatient, its image melting and shifting into the faces of Ava's darkest fears, her failures, her pain. Each whisper dripped with torment. "You'll leave him forever, just like your own mother left you," it taunted. Ava felt her heart hitched. Memories threatened to pull her down, but she grasped tightly to the hope that flickered around her son. "You're stronger than me, Jake. You can light the way." Just then, Jake's eyes narrowing in focus with unyielding determination. "I will draw, Mommy. I'll draw for you." As he began to weave colors together, a fissure of brilliant light erupted around them. The shadows shrieked, twisting violently as they were pushed back. Ava looked at Jake, fierce pride swelling within her just as dread lurked at the edges of her mind. Would their combined light be enough to shine through the consuming darkness? Or would they forever be entangled in the web spun by the malevolent figure watching, waiting for their moment of weakness? The entity drew closer, its voice a chilling hush. "You think hope is your ally? But every light has its end." Ava held her breath. Could they save each other before the final darkness fell? The fight was just beginning, and with it, the stakes had never been higher. The light from Jake's drawing pulsed like a heartbeat, roaring defiantly against the engulfing shadows. Ava's resolve, once teetering on the edge of despair, surged with the colors Jake conjured. She couldn't let this nightmare steal her child. But with every pulse of light, the figure twisted in rage, stealing glances at Jake, searching for that one moment of fear they could use. "Keep going, Jake! Just a little more!" Ava shouted, her voice shaking but fierce. Each word felt like a dagger slicing through the grip of darkness. But in that moment, doubt crept in again, the tendrils of panic threatening to squeeze her heart. "What if it's not enough?" she thought. The shadows whispered secret fears, clawing at her mind. They slithered closer, brushing against her skin like ice, wrapping around her thoughts. "Everything you lose forever. Just give in, Mommy." Jake's voice broke through her haze like a siren calling from shadows. "I'm scared. I can't keep it up." Ava's chest tightened. She glanced at the figure, grotesquely chewing on its own fury. "Just remember," she said, heart racing, "there's always a reason to believe in light." With a focused gaze, Jake's hands glowed brightly, radiant comet trails zigzagging through the basement air. It was beautiful, intoxicating, and terrifying all at once. The entity clawed at its own face, its form warping in anguish. "Stop! Stop this foolishness!" it howled. Ava felt the shadows rebound with each spell of light. They shivered, pulling back momentarily, as if uncertain of the strength growing behind Jake's creations. But then the taunting began again. Do you think you truly belong to the light? Your fate is sealed. You are trapped just like your mother. Alone. Jake whimpered, and Ava's heart splintered. No! Don't believe it! We can break free! She shouted into the void. It was a battle of wills, light and darkness clashing, either giving an inch. But the figure twisted, putting on a facade of reluctance. Suddenly it lunged at Ava with a new tactic. What if she leaves you too? It taunted, its voice dripping with venom. What if she cannot hold on? The shadows formed the silhouette of a woman, familiar yet corrupted, her mouth twisting into a cruel smile. Ava felt her skin crawl. You're just like her, the figure hissed, mockingly imitating Ava's mother. You always will be. Jake, hold on to me. Ava cried, reaching for him as if to tether their spirits together. But Jake's grip faltered, the light around him flickering. Mommy, I can't, he gasped out, eyes flickering with uncertainty. No! Ava felt the panic wash over her, a dark tide threatening to pull her under. She couldn't let this thing win. You can! She screamed. We are stronger together. Please, Jake. Imagine more than just the sun. Think of every good thing you've ever seen. With a deep breath, Jake focused once again. Slowly, unsteadily, colors blended in his mind: the cerulean sky, the vibrant green grass, his favorite red tricycle. The figure howled in suffering, fighting to regain control, but Jake's imagination swelled, and the colors erupted in a swirling vortex of light. Keep drawing, Ava urged, a flicker of hope igniting in her weary heart. But just at that moment, as Jake painted the colors that wrapped around them, the abyss beyond the light seemed to flicker with something else, a shadowy form growing larger, something deeper and darker than the current monster they faced. More light! Ava begged as the basement trembled, walls closing in upon them. But could Jake conjure enough to fend off what was coming? The figure was in retreat, but darkness was always searching for a way back in, and just then, a chilling realization struck. What if the deeper darkness was not just another monster, but something far more sinister? Ava felt the ground beneath them shift. The terror was far from over, and the shadows lurked, ready to pounce. What awaited them on the other side of this fading nightmare? The air grew thick with a suffocating dread as the basement walls trembled and quaked. The darkness around them seemed to pulse with malevolence, an almost tangible sensation that pressed hard against their skin, making it hard to breathe. Ava felt it crawling up her spine, whispering to her, "You are running out of time. Jake." Her voice cracked, the panic surging again. "Don't let it win. The light is our only hope." But the shadows twisted with unnerving speed, a swirling mass that snickered and sneered. They were more than mere darkness. They were alive, desperate for something to feast upon. As Jake's light flickered and surged, a heavy weight pressed down on them, dark hands reaching into the glow, thawing moments of warmth into endless cold. "Can you feel it?" the figure hissed, now a grotesque parody of a once nurturing spirit. "Your bond is weak. You've already lost it all." Jake's hands trembled as he fought against the onslaught, beads of sweat forming on his brow. "I am trying. I can't. I don't know how to make it stronger." His voice was small, lost in the chaos. Ava thought fast. What had she always told him? Imagine something more. Something that lights up the dark. Her voice was a lifeline thrown amidst a churning sea of despair. "Remember your friends, the time we went hiking? The warmth of sun on your face? Focus on those moments." His eyes lit up briefly as memories rushed back, the vivid colors of laughter and adventure igniting a flicker of light. He closed his eyes, breathing deeply, drawing from a well of strength she hoped still existed within him. The entity writhed, sensing the light begin to swell again. What a fool's hope! It roared. Yet there was a hesitation, the shadows recoiling just slightly, as if unsure how to proceed. "Don't listen to it, Jake. Don't let it twist your thoughts." She could see him visibly straining against the pressure. His little hands were shaking, the glow emitting seemed to sync with his heartbeat. But the pressure was relentless. The shadows loomed larger, coiling around the light, eager to snuff it out. Dread gripped Ava's heart, squeezing tighter with every moment that passed. Suddenly, the basement jolted, dust and debris cascading from the ceiling. A rumble echoed, the walls creaked, and with it came a sound like 100 whispers, all clamoring, all echoing, "You're too late, you're alone, it's over." Just then, a crack split through the center of the room, blacker than the abyss itself. It gaped wide, a mouth swallowing everything in its path. Panic surged through Ava. "Jake, hold on!" she screamed, lunging forward, arms outstretched, as she felt the pull of darkness begin to tug at her feet. "Mommy!" he cried out, the light flickering dangerously now. In a flash of bravado, Ava made a desperate choice. "Think of me, Jake. Think of what you love. Please! Draw us out of here!" The malevolent figure shrieked, its form beginning to distort as it recognized the power of Jake's creative spark feeding from the pure love for his mother. The crack widened, threatening to swallow everything. Jake's breath hitched, and for a moment, time itself slowed. Could he harness that moment? Could he really believe in the strength of his imagination? Colors swirled and brightened, but the darkness wailed louder than ever, a sound that curdled blood and chilled bones. "You will never escape me!" it bellowed, twisting everything into chaos. Ava felt despair creep in again. What if Jake couldn't do it? What if the shadows crushed the light they desperately clung to? In that fraught moment, she resolved to fight alongside him, but the shadows lunged once more, ready to strike. As the room erupted with terrifying force, Ava screamed, "Light! Jake NOW!" The impending darkness loomed large, almost tangible, an oppressive shroud. Were they about to be consumed by despair? And just then, as everything teetered on the brink, a haunting whisper clawed its way to Ava's ears, "The light will betray you," but could it? Would she trust the darkness trying so desperately to break them? The tension shattered as shadows surged, shaping into something larger, something hungry. Would they survive the clash, or would this night swallow them whole? In that breathless moment, Jake's little hands trembled harder, the light sputtering as if caught in a storm. The entity loomed ever closer, its shadowy mass rippling with hunger. Ava felt her heart race, a drumbeat of fear hammering against her chest. "You have to believe, Jake!" she cried, her voice cracking against the weight of the abyss. "I am trying, Mommy," he stammered, tears welling in his eyes, bright against the fading glow. "But it's so dark." The whispers grew louder, clawing at Ava's mind. "Join us, little one, let go of her. The light will only betray you." Every syllable dripped with malice as if the shadows reveled in their torment. "Don't listen!" Ava yelled, desperation coursing through her. "Remember the lake? The way we splashed around, how happy you were!" She saw flickers of recognition in his eyes, but the shadows twisted harder, their fingers of darkness snaking around him. They felt slimy and cold, like midnight tendrils reaching for warmth. "Jake, think," Ava added, her voice an anchor in the storm of chaos. "Think about your favorite toy, all the good times. Anything that makes you smile." But the abyss was relentless. It surged, a wave of black engulfing their fragile light with a growl. "You think a memory can save you?" Powerless like dust in the wind with each word, Ava felt her grip slide. The light quivered, and she could almost taste the despair in the air. The warmth radiating from Jake was fading, replaced by a gnawing chill that seeped deep into her bones. "Remember the way we saved that bird?" She pressed on, searching for that thread of connection, desperate to reignite the spark within him. "You cared for it and nursed it back to health. You were so brave." A spark manifested in his eyes, just a flicker. "I was brave," Jake whispered, though he sounded unsure, lost amidst the thrumming tension. A flicker grew brighter, fighting back the encroaching shadows, but just as hope surged, the walls shuddered and cracked again. The whispers snaked closer, taunting, "This is futile. You cannot hope to challenge the dark. It knows all your fears, all your failures." "Jake," Ava called, bursting with urgency. "Your love for what is real can drown out what isn't. It's our only chance." The shadows shrieked, writhing violently, trying to snuff out their resolve. The entity coiled tighter, its form twisting into grotesque shapes, enacting grotesque representations of what they feared most, clawing hands, faces flickering in and out of the dark, mocking their plight. Then, in an unexpected surge of bravery, Jake shouted, "No! I'm not letting go!" The light shot forth, brilliant and hot, almost blinding in its intensity. Ava felt the wave of warmth wash over her, igniting her core. She wasn't finished yet. But the darkness roared, angry and tortured. It lunged at them, a vast ocean of despair, a final act of desperation. The crack widened, pulling them toward the yawning void, where the walls seemed to melt away. Ava grasped Jake's hand tighter, heart pounding. "Focus, Jake! Focus on the light! Picture it bigger, brighter! You have the power!" Terror seeped through the cracks as she felt the pull deepen, the shadows swirling like a cyclone. But Jake, fueled by fear and love, let out his breath and imagined suddenly, the air flickered. For a second, the crack glimmered with myriad colors, a world of sparkling hope that clashed against the murky depths of darkness. But it was fleeting. The malevolent voice pierced the moment. "You will fail! You know the truth, light always fades." The shadows rallied, surging faster, pooling as if to smother them entirely. The screaming winds of fear shrieked through the air, drowning out their cries. This is the end. Somewhere in the chaos, a new chill gripped Ava's heart. She was running out of options. "Jake! Focus on me! On us!" Yet behind them, the crack gaped wider than ever, opening its maw to pull them both in. Just as despair began draping its heavy cloak over them, Jake whispered, "I love you, Mommy." Ava's heart thudded. Could love really light the way through the shadows? Then, from deep within, a white-hot flame ignited in Jake. And for a split second, it felt like hope. The darkness recoiled, but was it enough to turn the tide? The shadows lunged, ready for one last strike. Would the flicker of love be extinguished forever? "Believe, Jake," she urged, as the darkness loomed closer. "Believe in us." The horror of what lay ahead echoed ominously, the walls trembling with a mind of their own. Would her plea be their salvation, or was a far darker fate about to unfold? Ava felt Jake's hand slip from her grasp, just as the shadows lunged. The crack's maw opened wider, a gaping chasm of despair ready to swallow everything whole. Panic flooded her as she tightened her grip to keep him close. "Jake! Hold on to me! We can do this!" But the buzzing whispers from the void clawed at her mind, slick and oily. They promised freedom, release from pain, if only they would let go. Ava fought against the urge to buckle, to succumb to the dread threatening to engulf them. Through sheer willpower, she yelled, "Jake! Remember the stars? The way they danced in the sky? Focus on that!" For a heartbeat, the flickering light responded, rekindling Jake's spirit. She saw the 6-year-old boy inside him fighting back the fear. The despair that clung to him like a cold, wet blanket began to weaken. "Mommy, the stars, they shine so bright!" he shouted. "A little more!" Ava urged, feeling both their sanity tugged dangerously close to the edge. "Picture them. Visualize the shining, dazzling light. Let it fill you!" The shadow snarled, its shape writhing in rage, fueled by their resistance. "Foolish mortals! You cannot escape. Darkness claims all." Ava gritted her teeth. This wasn't just a fight for them, it was a battle for souls forgotten to the dark. She felt their combined love like a beacon against the storm, pushing against the weight of the void. The earth under their feet trembled, and Ava felt the cracks start to pull on her. She planted her feet firmly, refusing to be consumed. "Jake, push your memory forward," she instructed, lungs burning. "Think of the day at the fair when we laughed until we cried." Jake's face lit with effort. "The rides. The cotton candy. Yes, that's it. Imagine it. Can you see it? The joy." The light suddenly flared brighter, a searing mass erupting from within. It radiated outwards, forcing back the tendrils of gloom. But the shadows weren't finished. They bore down upon them with a vengeance, trying to crush the luminescence. Joy is ephemeral, the taunting voice hissed, echoing through the dark. The light always fades. Don't you see? You are nothing in eternity. A sickening feeling rolled in the pit of Ava's stomach, but she refused to waver. We are real. And we are not alone. In a desperate motion, she yanked Jake towards her. They embraced, two hearts beating as one, striving to drown out the omnipresent dark around them. I need you to be strong, Jake. We'll face this together. With every ounce of resolve, Jake nodded and closed his eyes, gathering energy, focusing on warmth and love enveloping them. Ava followed suit, channeling every loving moment they shared. The shadows recoiled momentarily, almost as if stung by their refusal to bend. It was a momentary distraction, and Ava seized it, whispering, "Together, my love." "Together," Jake echoed, heart racing. But just then, the earth shook violently, and the walls warped, temporarily separating them. Ava felt the weight of despair curling around her like a serpent, squeezing tight. Frantically, she called out, "Jake!" Her voice trembled as she reached desperately for him, but the darkness aggressively lashed out, ripping through the bond they had forged. She felt his presence flicker like a dying flame, leaving her scrambling. And then the darkness paused. Silence stretched across the gaping void, suffocating in its weight. Ava's heart lurched with dread. Had Jake slipped too far? "Mommy?" came a whisper, small and fragile, the sound breaking the ominous stillness. Her heart raced with a new kind of fear. "Jake! Where are you?" "The light, it's gone, I can't see." A terrifying wave washed over her, drowning her in despair. Jake's voice wavered like a leaf caught in a storm. She leaned forward, stretching her hand into the abyss. "Jake, I'm right here. Just hold on. I'll find you." But what if the whispers were true? What if she would never bring him back? Behind her, the crack widened ominously, the darkness seeming to pulse with anticipation. As hysteria clawed at her throat, she realized, was it possible the shadows wanted something more from them than just surrender? Would they demand a sacrifice? In that gut-wrenching moment, Ava had to choose. Surrender to the darkness or fight to save her son at all costs. But could she muster enough strength to resist the void and reach for her child? With every fiber of her being, she prepared to plunge into the dark, the weight of their fate bearing down on her. "Jake!" she screamed, daring the shadows to take her as the darkness surged closer. Would the love they fought to keep alive light the way, or would it be drowned forever in the abyss? As the terror crescendoed around her, one truth cut through the murky chaos. To save him, she might have to sacrifice everything. What price would the darkness demand? Ava's heart pounded louder than any heartbeat she had ever known, the syncopated rhythm of sheer terror and unwavering love colliding with the oppressive darkness. She could feel the shadows curling around her like aggressive vines, clawing at her mind, whispering all the ways she could fail. But there, lost in the folds of imminent despair, flickered the precious hope of her son. "Jake!" she screamed, stretching her arms into the abyss that threatened to swallow them both whole. A rush of warmth cascaded over her, a protective balm of memories swelling inside like a defiant tide. "I want to let you go. We'll fight together." From the dark, she felt a flicker of warmth. "Mommy?" The timid voice was like a spark igniting a wildfire. Her resolve solidified. It was now or never. "Keep your eyes on the stars," she yelled, filling her voice with every last ounce of conviction. "Think of the warm summer days, the way the sun feels on our skin. Remember the laughter at the picnic, the kite we flew together. We have the power." As if summoned by her words, Jake's presence surged forward, a bright warmth pushing back against the engulfing shadows. I remember," he shouted. The darkness shuddered, recoiling from the raw light blooming between their hearts. "Think, Jake. Picture it all," Ava urged. "Draw it out. Let your imagination rise." In the surreal quiet of that moment, Jake closed his eyes, his small frame shaking with effort. Ava felt the pull of the void twist like a knife in her chest, threatening to crush her spirit, but she held fast, She had to be the anchor for both of them. Colors began to emerge from the darkness. Blinding yellows, vibrant blues, and sparkling greens spilled forth from Jake's small hands, a radiant display of their shared love. The shadows hissed, tears in their malevolent whispers echoing through the chaos. The juxtaposition of screams met with laughter, the memories they cherished became a bulwark against the tide. I see it, Mommy! I'm drawing our hearts. Jake's excitement morphed into fury, imbuing an energy that began to push back the dark. The malevolent figure shrieked as their light pierced the abyss, both laughing and crying in reaction. No! You cannot escape. You are mere specks in the cosmos. But Ava was unfazed. We are more than that. We create our own light. She shouted, knowing that the strength of their bond was powerful enough to break the shadows. The glow surged between them, a dazzling expanse of light building up, fierce and unyielding. Ava could feel the oppressive darkness retreating, its jagged edges losing shape as warmth bathed everything in golden light. Stay with me, Jake. I'm right here, she cried, refusing to let fear overtake her. We're stronger than this. Suddenly, out from the aperture of darkness sprang forth a colossal figure born from agony. Your light will extinguish, and despair will claim you. It screeched, the monstrous voice ringing in the air, filled with death and defeat. The connection between mother and son flickered for a moment amid its taunts, yet Jake tightened his small fist, the colors around him blossoming brighter than any light should. No! You're wrong! Love is stronger, he declared with a fierce conviction, infused with a defiance that echoed throughout the chamber. And in that moment, Ava felt her heart crack wide open, filling with light so vibrant it boiled over and chased away all lingering shadows. It illuminated the cracks in the darkness as if the love within them reshaped reality itself. Feel it, Jake! She cried, her heart racing as they clung together, two beams of radiance pushing against the vile scorn of the shadows. Together we can break the chains. With both of their spirits intertwined, they unleashed waves of radiant light, colorful splashes dancing vividly amongst the oppressive gloom. Picture after picture of happiness illuminated the darkness, laughter resonating and embedding warmth into the cold fabric of despair. Suddenly, with a deafening roar, the entity entwined in the shadows writhed, twisting violently as light began to burn through its form. You cannot win! It bellowed, but Ava could feel its energy faltering, the malevolence weakening before them. Jake! Keep drawing the light! Focus! Ava screamed, feeling the power course through her like electricity, electrifying every pore. Mommy! He called, fear flickering in his gaze once more, but determination grounded him as he shouted back. I love you! And in that sacred moment, the air swirled with an energy they had forged, love, imagination, courage, each thread binding them together. The figure continued to howl, but the onslaught of their joyful memories blotted out the memories of despair, erasing the last vestiges of darkness. With one final surge, the shadows weakened, bursting into fragments of starlit mist, evaporating like morning fog under the relentless sun. The basement trembled as light surged forth, shimmering brighter than ever. Jake! Let us go! Now! Ava held his hand tight as the last remnants of darkness faded into nothingness. The shadows pulled away, unable to withstand the radiant warmth that enveloped them like a protective cocoon. And with a flash that felt like an eternity, they surged into light, into freedom. They stepped out into the dazzling glow of their real world, a gentle breeze rustling through the trees, warm and inviting. Ava gasped, sunlight kissing her skin for the first time in what felt like forever. For a moment, she stood dazed, but then she turned to Jake, both of them breathless yet grinning wide. We did it! She shouted, her heart swelling with an overwhelming joy. Mommy! We were so brave! Jake beamed, the twinkle in his eyes brighter than any star. Embracing each other tightly, tears of relief streamed down Ava's face, every worry washed away. They had triumphed, and in doing so, forged an unbreakable bond that even the darkest of shadows couldn't touch. Together they turned back to the light, ready to face the world anew with laughter, love, and light filling every corner of their lives. But now, dear friends, it's your turn. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss out on our next thrilling adventure. Smash that like button right now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Flood that comments section below with your own thoughts, reactions, and theories about what could happen next. And for the love of all that's magical, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who must see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second. True fans like you understand how important your support is for the channel.